Hello everyone and welcome to another case presentation. This is a case which turned Christmas into an absolute nightmare. An 85-year-old man had a history of type 2 diabetes, hypertension and metastatic prostatic cancer. 15 years ago he presented with melaena and endoscopy showed an ulcer in the first part of the duodenum which did not require endotherapy. He was treated with proton pump inhibitors and empirical H. pylori eradication therapy. 5 months ago, he again presented with melaena and endoscopy showed a clean-based ulcer in the first part of the duodenum and he again had PPI and empirical H. pylori eradication therapy. He remained well until 48 hours ago when, in the early hours of Christmas Eve, he was admitted to hospital with melaena. The blood pressure dropped to 96/46 millimeters of mercury and the hemoglobin on admission was 67 grams per liter with a baseline of 88 grams per liter. The urea was elevated at 32. 2 units of blood were transfused and the post-transfusion hemoglobin was 89. He had an endoscopy on Christmas Eve, 10 hours after admission. That was approximately 38 hours ago. The procedure was performed by a colleague and showed again an ulcer in the first part of the duodenum with a visible vessel. The ulcer was categorized as Forrest IIa. The ulcer was treated with 5 mL of adrenaline followed by 2 resolution clips applied to the vessel followed by 2 mL of Purastat. The patient remained well over Christmas Day, but in the middle of the night, approximately 38 hours after the initial endoscopy, he developed profuse melaena and shock with blood pressure falling to 60/40 millimeters of mercury. The hemoglobin also fell to 49 grams per liter. The critical outreach team was called and 4 units of blood together with 2 units of fresh frozen plasma were transfused, which temporarily stabilized the blood pressure to 100/60. The patient continued to have fresh melaena and a further urgent endoscopy was performed at about 4:30 a.m., which is an uncommon thing to do in this day and age. We now join the endoscopy, which is being done in the endoscopy unit under minimal sedation but with an anesthetist present. There is some altered blood and clots in the upper stomach. Fresh blood can be seen refluxing into the stomach through the pylorus. There is active bleeding in the first part of the duodenum. Upon closer inspection, the bleeding is seen to be coming from a spurting ulcer, so this is a Forrest IIa ulcer. the visibility is not very good, and I initially tried to slow down the bleeding by injecting adrenaline around the ulcer. A total of 8 mils of adrenaline is injected in aliquots. The scope is now removed and is loaded with an Ovesco over-the-scope clip. There are many types of Ovesco clips available. We used an 11/6T clip which has sharp teeth. The clip is mounted on a cylinder which is attached to the tip of the scope. A thread is fed up the channel of the scope and wound around a yellow handle which is attached to the scope via the bung. Turning the handle will deploy the clip. With the OTSC loaded on the scope, we re-intubate. In the duodenum, we again see the ulcer with the vessel. The vessel is placed centrally in the cap of the OTSC. Gentle suction is applied to draw the vessel into the cap. Next, the yellow handle is turned clockwise to deploy the clip. After deployment, there is immediate cessation of the bleeding. After a few minutes of observation, the scope is removed. After this second endoscopy, the patient remained stable with a blood pressure of around 100/60 and no further transfusion was required. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. See you in the next one. Bye for now.